Surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemy, till all my fears are gone, and I'm no longer a slave to fear. Yes, I am a child of God.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and welcome to the Jacob Project. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marilyn, and Jacob is an acronym for Joy and Courage Over Breakdown. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Jacob Project is suicide intervention awareness. Today I'm going to be talking about anxiety. And who's fueling your anxiety? Let me just turn this down. Who's fueling your anxiety, or what is fueling your anxiety? It's normal now in this pandemic to feel anxious. Very, very normal. If you didn't suffer from anxiety, you potentially could be suffering from anxiety. The everyday anxiety is what they call claustrophobia, agoraphobia, social anxiety, panic attacks. In a world where we have so many fears, there is a phobia for every occasion. I'm going to quickly just give you one because I've got too many. I don't like needles and I don't like heights. So obviously when I go to the dentist, I'm a 2 and 8 or a state, Cockney rhyming slang. And just going to the dentist, I'm like this. I'm just a nervous wreck. I don't like heights in so much as I won't go on a high ride at a fun fair. Yes, I'm a big chicken and it's just one of those things. I don't like to see my kids go on rides. And when they tell me what ride they're going on, I'm already throwing up on the floor. Now, in a world where so many phobias for every occasion, agoraphobia is the fear of open spaces. So, public open spaces, marketplaces, anywhere that's open. Now, I'm sure if you put most people in the middle of a field and left them there, they would have a panic attack as well as become claustrophobic, agoraphobic, I beg your pardon. I'll get to claustrophobic in a minute. Even being in a big supermarket can fill some people with dread. Like the hyper supermarket like Westfields and places like that, Blue Water. Please don't talk to me about them shops, because even I get, it's too much. Now, claustrophobia is made from the Latin word which means phobia, as you know, means fear, and claustra means bolt. So claustrophobic means I'm frightened of being locked in, I'm frightened of being bolted in. Doesn't that sound familiar? We're currently in a pandemic and we've been told to stay in. So you're literally fueling people's claustrophobia by instilling this thing that you've got to be indoors, locked indoors where it's safe. Don't go out into open space unless you're going for exercise. Interesting. Social anxiety. I remember speaking to someone about, different things, and we ended up talking about social anxiety, and I was saying that my daughter doesn't like the way, the school is treating them like cattle. You've got to go in one way, come out another way, and there's all sorts of different protocols, which is making her anxious. And so she now says, Mum, I've got social anxiety problems. I don't like being on a bus. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like being in a supermarket. So yeah, it's everybody's been affected. Doesn't matter who they are. But social anxiety is characterized by having excessive anxiety or fear concerning at least one social situation, where the person will be scrutinized by others. Well, you think you're being scrutinized, but sometimes you are. I mean, there was a time when I couldn't eat meat, and I could only eat if I went out and there was no fish, because I could only eat fish. I was a pescatarian, and I would only eat rice, gravy, salad, and people looked at me like I was weird. Like I had 10 heads. So yeah, people do scrutinize you. So social anxiety disorder I think everybody's got it. We all got it. If you're different, or you dare to be different, you have got it. You really, really have got it. People like to look at you because you're different. If I was to dye my hair pink now, I'm sure you'd all look at me like. Getting back to social anxiety, situations where the children are being forced to go in and out of school like cattle is creating a lot of, because it is unfamiliar, and you know, especially if they've never done it for the first time, you know, if children are new starting school, they're going to say, Mum, I don't like my social bubble, you know, they don't like me, they're mean to me, you know, and it is very difficult for the teacher to then navigate and create new social bubbles, and children are forever falling out and not being friends one minute, and then they're friends the next minute, and then you have to keep on interchanging the bubbles. Then you know, it's just created more work for the teacher or more work for the child to have to try and navigate through. It's just like ridiculous. You know, as I mentioned before, my eating, people used to look at me like I was weird. You know, I'm not, you know, one who's worried about public speaking, but somebody who has got social anxiety, they may have that where they have to speak. You know, you're in a management position or a senior role and you have to speak. And then it creates that fear, and you start to panic, and yeah, it's normal, you know, it's normal to feel that way, but it's how do you cope? You know, some people sweat excessive that, you know, you can see it on their clothes. How do you cope? You know, is there something you can do different? You know, can you wear clothes that don't reveal sweat? You know, what can you do? If you have to speak, what can you do? You can't not speak. You can't, you know, give yourself illness, make yourself sick. You've got to fight this, and you've got to be on top of it. You know, yes, it's extreme to some people. You know, it's fear and anxiety mixed together. Social anxiety. You know, panic disorder. I panic when I have to have a needle, or if my children have to have a needle, and I have to take them to get, you know, their injections, which I don't think I did when they were little, not at all. Because I knew I couldn't cope, so I had to get someone else to take my children to have their needles. So who can support you and assist you when your heart's pounding, you're sweating, you're trembling? You know, who can assist you? How can you help yourself? What can you do that's slightly different? Every eventuality you need to plan for. We know that we're going to be in lockdown until, I think it's the 2nd of December. Here's tickling my nose. And we've got to plan for every eventuality. We can't sit here and say, oh, well, I don't know. Okay, what if Boris Johnson says we can't have Christmas? How does that affect the whole world? Well, how does it affect the UK, I should say? What are we going to do? Because Boris says we can't have Christmas. For some people, it will be the worst thing he could ever suggest. If that's the only time a year you see your family, it's Christmas, then you have to make every effort that, you know, you can see them. If you're an anxious person and it's going to create anxiety, try and find an alternative way to diffuse your anxiety. If they normally come to you for Christmas and that's not going to be possible, maybe 1 or 2 can come and the rest of you can be on Zoom. You know, we can't let COVID beat us. We've got to beat it. And you know, Michael Jackson says, just beat it. We've got to beat it. Yes, anxiety is real. Panic attacks are real. You know, as I said, some people it might consider it to be extreme. You know, but if you're already diagnosed with these disorders, you know, in this unusual circumstances, we have to help ourselves. So guys, all I'm saying is that each one reach one. Guys, talk about it, speak about it. If you're not sure about something, don't sit in silence. That's the worst thing. Let somebody help you and let somebody support you. You know, we can't be wrong and strong. In conclusion, to fueling your anxiety, obviously in this uncertain times, there's not a lot we can do about it. We just have to go with the flow. However, if the flow is going too quick and the pace is really causing you to be anxious, panic, stress, slow down the pace a bit. Step back from the situation. Talking always helps. I don't like to go to certain parts of London, and I know if I have to travel to certain parts of London, drag a friend. Don't go on your own, drag a friend. If you have a friend, you know, or you're going to work and you have a new fear of going to work on public transport, this new fear, yes, there are people that have said to me, I don't like getting on a bus anymore, so I now drive to work. Why don't you team up with somebody in your work, one of your work colleagues? You share the petrol and you both go to work together. You know, each one reach one. If nobody talks, nobody doesn't know, because nobody's mind readers. So it's just a case of finding somebody who you feel that can support you, or talking about it, and then that person might be listening and they may offer you some help. Guys, each one reach one. To all my Jacob Project family, I love you all. Goodbye, God bless, and have a wonderful afternoon. Take care. Bye.